Well, let me tell you a little story about promotion. And this goes clear back to the 1970s, back in the old days. Most of you probably weren't even born. But back then, I happened to see a TV show that was on during the daytime called The Merv Griffin Show. Sort of like The Tonight Show, except, well, during the day. Well, anyway, on this one particular show, he had this gentleman on. His name was Earl Woods, and he had a son, who I think was like 3 or 4 years old. But they put the kid out there with a golf club. It was a big plastic golf club, hitting these plastic golf balls. But this little 3, 4-year-old kid was slamming these golf balls. I mean, they were putting them up, he'd hit them, and he'd whack the heck out of them. And you're going, whoa, that's really weird. Well, that little kid, whose father was Earl Woods, turned out to be Tiger Woods. And about 20 years later, I was on the radio at WOWO. It was April 1997, April 1997. And on that April day, I was doing a talk show. I was doing 3 to 6 in the afternoon, and that particular time was the Masters tournament. Now, back in those days, I loved to play golf. Didn't like necessarily watching it on TV, but certainly liked to play it. But I was watching the Masters because if you're a golf fan, the biggest tournaments are the Masters, the British Open, and the U.S. Open. Those you watched. Well, anyway, in 1997, I saw this Tiger Woods guy literally clean the clock of everybody at the Masters, beat him by, double strokes. It was amazing. And for the next 20 years, I followed Tiger Woods. And whatever tournament he was in, the ticket sales went through the roof. The TV ratings were phenomenal. Whenever he played, everybody wanted to watch, whether they're in golf or not. Well, that's how Tiger Woods survived for over 20 years. Well, something else has happened in recent years. Back in the 2020, 21, 22, women's basketball was going on, the WNBA. Now, the WNBA had been around for 20-some years, and it was losing money every year, and it was just to pay homage to the women. The NBA teams were pitching in $1 million a team, and they were still losing $40 million a year. People weren't watching. You get maybe 3,000, 4,000 people a game, played in these small high school-sized gyms, and frankly, nobody really cared. But then the word came was going to be the draft was going to come out. Now, everybody thinks about the college draft. They always think about, well, UConn, South Carolina, Notre Dame. Well, nobody was thinking much about this Iowa team. This Iowa team had this young lady playing on it who broke every scoring record, every assist record, about every record you could think of. And nobody ever heard of her. But the Indy Fever, the Indianapolis team, they managed to get the first pick in the draft. And lo and behold, they picked this lady out of Iowa. Her name was Caitlin Clark. She was a phenom. Well, she joined the team because the WNBA plays only in the summer. Now, back in those days, 2024, the teams traveled by regular commercial airlines. Now, you imagine 12, 13 women all crammed together in coach seats, flying from city to city, airport to airport, catching things like you and I do? It's a mess. Well, suddenly this Caitlin Clark comes along, and she's a phenom. She's scoring everywhere on the court. The Fever were supposed to be a nothing team. She had got them into playoffs, no less. Well, what happened was security said, hey, we got to protect this little lady, this Caitlin Clark. She's a phenom, and we need to make some changes. Well, the rest of the women in the WNBA had been playing for years and pretty much in nondescript. Nobody knew who they were. Nobody cared. But now, suddenly they're riding on chartered jets because that's how they got around now. Man, that was living large. Of course, they're only making about $76,000 a year during the off season. Had to go work someplace else to, well, pay the rent, if you will, because the WNBA was a losing league. But Caitlin Clark, this lady comes in, and suddenly she starts drawing massive amounts of attention. I mean, teams had to go to different venues to play the games when the Fever were in town. Down in Indianapolis, every time they go to Gainbridge to play a game, they sold the house out. I mean, 18, 19,000 people. People wanted to see this girl. She was a phenom, sort of like Tiger Woods was. Well, problem was the WNBA, they let her get beat up because a lot of the ladies of the WNBA were very jealous, did not like her, did not like the fact she was there. Well, she wasn't one of them. So they beat her up and ultimately put her out of the game. But during that time, you kind of started looking at the WNBA because all the games they were playing. You start seeing other players on the team too, like Sophie Cunningham and Lexi Hull rather. Suddenly you're seeing other players going, hey, they're pretty cool. Well, the problem is this. Caitlin Clark has gone through her second year. She only played 13 games in 2025, but she was there, but the fans were still there to see her, still there to get autographs, still hoping she would come back. But in the meantime, the team worked out pretty good. I mean, made it virtually the semifinals of the championship with a put-together team. But the league, what did they do about Caitlin Clark? Not a whole lot. Not a whole lot. Yeah, she got a tremendous $28 million Nike contract, which I think she could have had a whole lot more. But she became considered the best of the best. But did the league really promote her and put her mainstay and make her the main thing of the league? For what reason? No. Well, here it was recently announced that she had been invited to play in a golf tournament that she'd been in previously by Ms. Corda and some other lady golfers, great lady golfers. An event down in Tampa, Florida, on November 11th, 12th, somewhere around that area. She was invited to play. When that was announced, that Caitlin Clark was going to be playing in a Pro-Am tournament, the ticket sales for this event went through the roof. Media coverage went through the roof because the LPGA said, hey, we got a big star playing at our event. Let's promote the heck out of this. And they are, and they did. And because of that, it suddenly has become a big event. Caitlin Clark playing golf? She knows how to play golf, folks. She does. I mean, she knows how to play pretty much everything, but golf too. So she's going down playing this event. Tickets have gone through the roof. Everybody wants a ticket. Media wants to cover it. And the LPGA says, we're going to outmarket this lady who really doesn't belong to us. She belongs to the WNBA. We're going to use her to market our product. And they did. Well, WNBA's got a big problem, folks. A big problem. They could see a strike coming up the end of this month. Who knows what's going on? The Fever? Well, apparently they're going to keep Caitlin Clark, and they're going to keep Miss Cunningham and Miss Null, at least those three, maybe more, and try to get a championship for Indianapolis. But marketing has been the most important part. The WNBA, in my opinion, has done a poor job of marketing Caitlin. And frankly, the LPGA knew what they had and knew how to use it to make them even bigger. So now you'll probably be watching that golf tournament in November, the Pro-Am, seeing Caitlin Clark play, and you'll be watching the WNBA next year. We don't even know if they're going to have games. A lot depends on what happens. But right now, it's a matter of marketing. Who did the better job of marketing, the LPGA or the WNBA? In my opinion, the LPGA ran circles around the WNBA because they don't realize what they have, and what they did have, they attempted to destroy. That's the problem, that jealousy gets you. That's the problem, that anger, well, with some people because they don't like someone else coming in and taking over their spot. Well, that's how it worked out. Now you understand something about marketing. The pro golf people knew about it when Tiger Woods came along. Too bad the WNBA is not using it properly like they should, involving a phenom of our time, Caitlin Clark.